So first of all, I want to acknowledge that Katie McLeod's brother passed away very suddenly this week, and I ask for your prayers for her and her family. I want to thank everyone who contributed in many different ways to another very successful Café Francois dinner. It was really delightful. Thank you, Steve. What would we do without you? He didn't bounce as much as usual today. I wonder why. Father Brent continues to need our prayers, and I'll just leave it at that. He's turned a corner, yes, but he's still having some pretty bad days. I just want to advise anybody who has an interest to read about the Lambeth Conference. Bishop Thomas has a really lovely letter in the Episcopal Maine newsletter, so you might want to read that. Adult Forum it will not happen today, and it will resume with Adult Forum Phase 2 a couple of weeks after Labor Day. So more about that later. I think September 18th will be the resumption date for that. Libby Cluett, our dear Libby Cluett, is going to be memorialized this Thursday, August 11th at 4 o'clock in the afternoon here. All of you are invited. We expect a really full house. And so anybody who has 10 minutes after coffee hour today is welcome to help set up chairs every place. So thank you. We have an announcement by Jane and Letha, and then Peter Gilchrist will talk about stewardship.
Do you want to go first? Or? Okay, she's going to go first.
So I would like you to close your eyes. I know it's hot. Don't go to sleep, Mark. Just close your eyes and think about what you would feel like if you were hungry right now. Really hungry. And then think about going home and there's nothing in your house to eat. And then think about you have no money to pay for anything to eat. So that's the situation that we know about in Ecuador. Jane has lived there. These are friends. We have to do something. So we have some funds that have been donated of $500. We're trying to match them today with your generous donations. This is Chocolate Sunday. It's a terrible Sunday for it, 89 degrees. But before the chocolate melts, we hope that as you exit through the narthex that you will take some chocolate. We have cookies, we have flourless chocolate cake, we have hugs and kisses, we have all manner of chocolate, and that you will donate generously to help a family who has nothing to eat. And Jane, I'd like to say a few words as well. I'm crying.
Thank you, Aletha, for that. This is the thing. I have a friend in Ecuador who is an indigenous person of the Quechua faith in Ecuador. I visited them in May. In June, there was what they call a paro, which is like a strike. But when strikes happen, everything shuts down. The roads are closed. Food doesn't get transported. Food was scarce for everybody, whether you had resources or you didn't have resources. Food was very scarce. Where it was available, it was very expensive. And the poorest communities, as often, are hit the hardest. And it was actually in July, and I got word from my friend that the paro had ended, people were back to work, but she hadn't found work, she didn't have money, she couldn't buy food for herself or her family. And I just felt moved to do something. When I was there in May, they gave me cacao beans and didn't charge me anything for them. I have taken the cacao beans, I have made chocolate. I have 70% chocolate, I have milk chocolate, that's all made from the cacao beans that gave me in Ecuador. I also have some 100% chocolate that I purchased from a little town called Santa Rita, who sells their chocolate to Pacari. If you know of Pacari, they're like international, famous, really high quality chocolate. So I have some 100% chocolate there. All of that is on the table. Some of it is tempered, some of it is not tempered, and that's a whole nother story. But It's there, just help yourself to whatever you want, and please, please, please donate so that I can send some money to my friend in Ecuador. Thank you.
This seems to be maybe Giving Sunday, because I also have a request. I think it all speaks to Steve's sermon, and none of this was planned, but it does seem to. We got an email from Tracy Hare, who is the person in charge of HOME, H-O-M-E in Orland, that deals with the homeless, and she said that we've counted 30 people sleeping outdoors in Ellsworth. The folks struggle with substance abuse or mental illness or both, and HOME has run out of sleeping bags and tents. The reason why they need them is because they've also run out of rooms. And the sleeping bags and the tents are obviously something to carry them forward. HOME works in collaboration with Healthy Acadia and as an outreach to establish a relationship with these people so that they will come in and use the facilities when they're there, when they're available. And there just aren't enough beds to meet their needs. So they would like to raise $1,000 for beds, for sleeping bags and tents, and they're also working with other churches in the area. But if interested, you could send a check to St. Francis and put sleeping bags in the memo. It shouldn't take much to accomplish this, but at the same time, I know the needs are great and the demands are great. And so thank you very much. And now Peter.
I think we've seen something wonderful this morning, and I get to comment on it. This wasn't planned, but what is St. Francis? St. Francis is our place of worship, fellowship, and service. Worship. This morning, we've had a sermon that I didn't expect it. Steve just nailed what we have seen and what God promised to Abraham. We've heard music as a part of our worship. It's exceptional. Fellowship. You heard about a dinner that we had in our basement this week where we gathered for a French meal. When you leave here, you're going to go to our lemonade stand. Service. The service to each other, how we are taking care of our own, how we are collecting food for the food pantry, how we're doing chocolate for Ecuador. We've heard Sarah talking about other needs on the peninsula where we're joining with other church. What makes this place, St. Francis, so clear is we see God working through us. We are certainly not doing it. God is using us in our worship, in our fellowship, and our service. Our thought for this campaign for stewardship is Christ working through us. I think this morning what you've heard is just it couldn't be made stronger. The vibrancy and the activities of this church through this pandemic, through the temporary illness of our pastor, and yet we are continuing and we're continuing on. Why do you hear me here asking you for a pledge? We have the maintenance of this building. We have expenses for the outreach. We have expenses for the programs that we do. And what we're asking for today is for you to reflect on what you anticipate your gift will be for next year's operation of St. Francis. What an opportunity for an investment. And why do we ask for a pledge? The pledge allows us to anticipate. We already have projections of what our budget will be next year, but the vestry needs to be able to plan and to budget for what we know is coming. You've received a card asking about a bequest. That's what's going to happen to you, what you want to happen to your stuff when you die. That's not us today. We're asking for you to tell us what you plan to do next year so that the vestry can plan. During this campaign, you'll hear other members of this congregation tell you how they serve St. Francis, what they do, and why they give to St. Francis, and why they pledge. You'll receive in the mail this week a pink card, a pledge card. We'll have on it what your pledge was to do for the church here 2002. This is what we need for next year. Think about and prayerfully consider what your pledge will be. If we receive pledges the same as you did this year, we will not have enough money to meet our anticipated needs for next year. So I ask you to consider, can you increase your pledge for the coming year? Welcome to the lemonade stand.